You've got a list of questions, or how are you going to do this?
So we've actually just gone live now, and this is my list of questions here. So
Okay.
We've got a fair amount. There's some stuff related to when you played, and some stuff related to the current squad and things that have been happening in sort of more recent years as well. So kind of a bit of a mixture of the two.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's go into the first question, really. And what was it about Stevenage that attracted you to come and sign for the football club?
It wasn't quite like that. I was playing for Hatfield. I was captain down there, and I got a phone call out of the blue from Tim Jolly,
right,
on behalf of the management, asked if I'd be interested in coming and playing at Stevenage.
Okay.
So I saw it as a step up and thought, yeah, we'll do that. As it was, we'd just got married in the same year that I moved over here.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really know anybody, and obviously playing for a football club, you get to know people. So we went with that.
All right. So for anyone that doesn't know, this is Mitch Dee, former Stevenage defender as well. So you signed in 1981. So what would you say sort of some of the main differences about the game were then as to now?
I think there was less theatricals.
Right.
I think that filters down from what the Premier League has become. Guys are a bit more honest. You could go out 90 minutes. I remember one guy in particular who ended up playing for Borough. Mm-hmm. We could go out and knock each other about for 90 minutes and then go and have a pint afterwards. I'm not sure that happens now.
So you say that was one of the main differences is the whole sort of that kind of side of it. And of course, even these days now, there's a lot of, I'm sure when you're watching games and you've got decisions going through with VAR and things like that, there's quite a lot that's changed in that time, isn't there?
Yeah, I think so. Funnily enough, I did a survey, Online Football Supporters Association survey about VAR last night.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and I think if they can't radically change the way it's currently being implemented, then get rid of it.
That's absolutely right. That they have to kind of make sure they're doing it and kind of keeping it as fair as possible, really, because there's many times, the last couple of seasons where teams have been really done over by VAR decisions that, pretty much, certainly back in the day, but even 5-6 years ago, wouldn't have been, given as offside or as handball. That rule's changed about 3 times this season.
Yeah, I'm a Burnley fan by nature. Right. And being a small club in the Premier League, most small club fans of most small clubs will tell you they get victimised by VAR over the rich elite. And I think VAR exists for them.
And that's right, with Burnley as well. Even the manager, Sean Dyche, has come out plenty of times and has kind of come out and said that, Burnley have been done over more times than not in terms of VAR. I think they get one decision for every 10 that go against them or something like that.
Well, he was laughing the other week when we played Arsenal, when Lacazette went down squealing like a pig.
That's it. Yeah.
No one touched him. Mm-hmm. The empty stadiums just exaggerate it, don't they? You can hear everything. So, I don't know. It's not what it used to be.
Okay. So we were playing in the United Counties League at that time.
Yeah.
So, what have you made of the fact that obviously now it's a completely different kettle of fish with Stevenage? We're an established Football League club and, we've faced and beaten the likes of Newcastle and, replays with Tottenham, etc. It's a completely different world now for Stevenage Football Club than it was back in the early 80s, isn't it?
Yeah, when I played, the first impression I got was that a town like Stevenage should be able to support a club in the conference. Mm-hmm. And that's where they should have targeted, but obviously it's taken off. I guess starting with Paul Fairclough's days, it really grew it, the Newcastle stuff and whatever else. And there was obviously interest in those kind of games around the town. So where it is, shame to get relegated out of League One so soon, but where they are now is good. Even though the last couple of years have been a bit rocky.
Yeah, but then even this year, the start of this year was very rocky, but then now it's completely turned on its head since Christmas time as well, isn't it?
Yeah, if we just ignore that, it's only a spam call. It'll
right.
go.
That's fine.
Yeah, before the season, before Christmas, let's say that, or before the New Year, it was awful, wasn't it? But
it really was.
the recruitment in the summer was based on not knowing where they were going to be. So
that's true.
Obviously made it difficult. But there were some that, as proven, I never thought were up to the League Two standard as a spectator, season ticket holder, and whatever else. You know, it was quite clear that they weren't there.
Yeah. And of course we've got on, and of course we've had the promotions as well, and getting to the height of League One as well. We were League One playoff semi-finalists as well, weren't we? And only just beaten by Sheffield United, and they're not this season as much, but last season had a very good Premier League season themselves.
Yeah, they've made enormous progress. I mean, I remember seeing Harry Maguire playing for Sheffield United at Stevenage. Never ever thought he was an England centre half. Yeah, at that stage, but fair play him. He's done what he's had to do. He's now regular in the England side and probably first picked centre half.
And what would you say are the main sort of differences between the likes of a Harry Maguire and yourself as a defender when you played?
Well, oddly enough, did you see Finding Jack Charlton last night?
I didn't. No, I was planning to watch it, but I will get it on the catch up. Yeah,
watch it. It's brilliant. It's sad, but it's brilliant. But he said there was a line in there. He said he never trusted centre halves that could play.
Right.
He preferred a centre half that could stop other people playing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the difference between where I was and where Maguire is.
Okay.
My first job was to make sure that the other lot didn't score. Didn't always work.
Yeah, so that's on. That was on last night. So that's on. What was that? Was that a BBC programme or?
BBC Two. Yeah, catch it on iPlayer. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll find that later on tonight then. Your first game for the club was actually in October as well. So it was a little bit later into the season where you made your debut. Was that because when you signed you were injured, or was there sort of other issues upon signing?
No, that's just when it came about. I was playing for Hatfield to start of that season, and as I say, I got a call late September.
Yeah.
Came across, had a trial, if you like. There's more to that, but I can't say anything on the telly.
That's fine.
And then we agreed that I'd play, and I played the first game against Stamford, who I think at the time were FA Vase holders, or a year previously had won the Vase at Wembley.
That's right, and of course Stevenage as well. Go on.
Sorry? I say no mystery in that. No mystery. It's just the timing. That's all it was.
All right, fair enough. And we were just saying in regards to, you just mentioned there about Stamford as well. So, and we were just saying before that as well, that, we were, of course, in the, what division were we in? The United Counties Premier. And it's a lot different in regards to some of the derbies that we had as well. It would have been more like the likes of Letchworth, Ware and Royston, rather than, in later years, the Barnets, the Wokings and the Lutons, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. I played at Ware. I played at Royston. I played against Royston. In fact, I scored one of my 2 goals for the club against Royston.
At home to Royston, yeah.
Yeah, it was a little roll in from about a yard out. Couldn't miss.
So that's one that stays with you, though, yeah?
Yeah, the other, because there's only 2. I can remember the other one. That was in the third game of an FA Cup tie against Uxbridge. That's
right, and we lost. I think we lost 5-3. If I could see right on the stats there, yeah.
It's quite a good story. The first game was at Broadhall Way. We drew no goals.
Right.
After 90 minutes, and we all went in the changing room. People had taken the kit off. There's 2 lads in the shower. Mm-hmm. And the ref came in and said, "Sorry guys, I've made a mistake. We should have played half an hour extra time." So we had to get dressed again and go back out and play the half hour.
Oh wow.
And it still ended up no goals.
Yeah.
Then we went to Uxbridge on the Tuesday night, drew 1-1 over there. Mm-hmm. Can't remember who scored. But anyway, yeah, drew 1-1. Then the third game, back at Broadhall under the lights, finished 5-3 to them. And I scored a goal there. Paul Johnson got one, and can't remember who got the third. But yeah, we lost 5-3. So that was disappointing. But the first game, as I say, people in the shower and have to go back out and play extra time was a bit. It'd be ridiculed in the media these days, but it was quite amusing.
And even with the replays as well, because there was 3 replays there, well, 2 replays there, as you said, and now some of these FA Cup ties later on in the competitions and other trophy etc. Games as well, you don't get these replays, do you? It kind of goes over the 2 legs, or you kind of just get the one-off time.
Well, again, even now the Big Six and the European giants are pushing to even scrap that.
Yeah,
it's not beyond the realms that they'll scrap the Carabao Cup or whatever it's called this year. Get rid of that, and then the FA Cup will become even less of a tournament than it is now.
Which is, of course, the lower league clubs as well. They need the FA Cup, don't they, for income and for money and for just kind of recognition as well, and kind of getting the fan base up.
Look at Borough against Newcastle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the 1-1 at Broadhall with all of the rubbish that Douglas and whatever was,
and the chairman. Yeah.
Yeah, and then back up to Newcastle for the replay. And I mean, it was lifeblood for Stevenage. And then the big clubs don't want to do that anymore, do they?
No, that's right. They want to just get it over and done with, whatever way that may be. And of course, even in recent years, I think it was about 2015, 2016, the likes of Lincoln and Sutton went on a very good cup run, and I think they got
we won't talk about Lincoln because they
beat Burnley. They did, yeah.
Yeah.
They got to, I think one of them got to the quarterfinals,
Yeah. No, that sort of thing is what football was about. But Ronnie Radford, Hereford, Newcastle again. But they're going to kill it. I'm afraid they're going to kill it.
They will, yeah. So what have we got on here? So what was it like, obviously, playing alongside the likes of Martin Gittins as well, and Peter as well, Peter Gittins, Danny Dance, and then Steve Butler and guys like that?
There were some really, really good players. You just mentioned Peter Gittins was a wonderful, really nice lad, very, very good left back, could ping a ball at real pace. But I think that was the first thing I felt was if someone's knocking a ball to you, it's really coming at pace. You've got to get it under and get rid so you don't get caught out. So that's what I noticed. But you got Danny Dance and Martin Gittins. You put them in the current League Two side, they'd be amazing.
And of course, Martin's still the top goal scorer as well. Even with the likes of Steve Morrison, who played for the club, and Anthony Eldon and guys like that, he's still got his record, and it's a phenomenal record, isn't it?
It's going to take an awful lot of beating, isn't it?
It really will, yeah.
It'll be interesting to watch if somebody does, because it'll be quite exciting. But we're a long way off someone beating that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But as I say, Gitz would walk into that side now.
Yeah, for sure he will. And actually, Martin, he is married to a girl's. So I went to school with a girl called Katrina, and it's Katrina's mum, Debbie, that is now married to Martin.
And they were courting at the time.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I've seen Martin a few times, not for a couple of years now, but he used to play up at White Hill, where I'm from. I remember he played up there with Bob Makin.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, me and my partner knocked Bob and his partner, Bob Makin and his partner, out of the pairs competition this year. So.
Oh right, that's the story.
Bob and I had a chat about football and all things there, and he suggested Martin had a bit of an issue health-wise, but hopefully he's okay. But he's some player, Martin.
What else have we got on here? So we touched on the 2 goals that you scored. You were brought in under Derek Montgomery as well. So, what was that conversation like with him? And, what kind of manager would you kind of, put him in the bracket as from Stevenage sort of in more recent years? Like in his style, etc.
Very quiet, very measured. Derek and I became good friends. My wife and Derek's girl, Roz, became friends, and we shared evenings out occasionally. And of course, Derek had Paul by his side, Paul Peterson, and they were a really, really good pair. Paul obviously did the coaching. Derek did the little politics and the talks and whatever else. A good pair. I like the both of them. Really, really like both of them.
And so, what else have we got on here now? So prior to signing for the club, we'd just won the Counties League Division 1 and the League Cup as well. Did that have much of an impact in, you signing up for the club, or was that something that was kind of just coincidental?
Coincidental. We were moving to Stevenage. We'd put offer on the house. It was going through and whatever else. Got the call out of the blue, and the 2 things were just meant to be, I guess. And as I say, as we were moving over here and didn't know anybody, the football gave us both contacts. There were some lovely people at the football club at the time. really, really good guys helping out. I think George Clark was the chairman. I know George Clark was the chairman. Keith Berners was vice chairman. So Keith and Jackie. One of the nicest men I ever met was at the club at the time. And sadly, he passed away very early. Dave Hughes. I bumped into one of his boys in the town. They used to come along and watch, and there was Dave and Kath in the bar, and there's some great people at the club. Yeah. I don't know what it's like now because I'm not that sort of personally involved, but they were really, really wonderful people there.
And of course, so we touched on that. Of course, you made a total of 65 appearances for the club over 3 seasons as well. So, and they were all starts as well, if I believe to be correct. I don't think there was any sub appearances. I think they were all games that you started. Yeah.
No, I didn't do sub. I was either in it or out of it.
Yeah.
I was captain to most of them, which was an honour and a privilege. So I quite enjoyed that role. I was always a bit of a talker. And as I say, old school centre half. Stop them playing, give it to someone on our side who could play with it and let them go. You get people like Graham Cox. I played with Graham. Wonderful footballer. He could do a lot with the ball. Get it to Gits and he'd have a go. Dancy, Jolly, Tim Jolly. There were lots of good players. When I first started, Jose Wishaw was playing. I think I played about 10 games with Jose before he stopped playing. Wonderful footballer. Really, really good.
See, that's a lot of
good players.
I was just going to say that there's a lot of these footballers, of course, I've seen plenty of the footballers growing up in regards to the sort of England guys and the Arsenal, Man United and the a lot of these other players from the Premier League clubs and stuff like that. But I don't know too much about some of the old Stevenage guys, and I'd love to really be able to research and find out some more history on the likes of Martin Gittins, yourself, Terry Broom, all of those sort of guys. Yeah,
I think Delvin Stevens and myself were the centre half partnership for Borough for a while. We must have been the oldest centre half pair in certainly in this part of the country. But we had a good time. Lovely fella, Delvin, good football as well. Peter Adams played as well, and he was right back. Delvin, myself. So we had quite an old back four, but we were good. We enjoyed it. Did what we could.
So what else have we got to cover on here now? So what would you say some of your best memories of your time in a Stevenage shirt were?
Well, the Uxbridge thing stands out just because of the nature of the thing. Three ties. There was an issue with the floodlights, wasn't there? The floodlights used to be in the 4 pylons in the corners. Right. And two of them got metal fatigue and had to be taken down. So they altered them and lowered the height of those 2 masts in the northwest corner and the southeast corner opposites. Right. And when they were back up and working, because Derek and Paul were at Leeds United in their playing days, they knew Eddie Gray, Frank Gray, and those. And Leeds United brought the whole side down, and we had a sort of game to turn on the new floodlights, if you like.
Okay, so like a friendly, yeah.
Yeah, and they bought the whole lot. Kenny Burns, Frank Gray, Aidan Butterworth. I think I was marking Terry Connor.
Okay, yeah.
And decides, I'm one of the guys that watched that Leeds side and Don Reeby's bits and whatever else back in the day. But this Leeds side under Eddie Gray and Frank Gray, all the guys stayed behind in the bar, and they couldn't have been nicer. Kenny Burns had the reputation, as you know, as a bit of a tough, hard nut.
Yeah.
Fantastic bloke in the clubhouse afterwards. I've got a programme with autographs all over it upstairs somewhere.
Oh, so excellent.
That's a treasured one. And we played another game against an Arsenal side in the pre-season. It wasn't full of their stars at the time. I think John Devine played. I think Pat Jennings was there.
Okay.
And I played about an hour, 70 minutes, and got some kind of injury, so I came off. And I always remember a young kid ran up to me and asked me for my autograph. I was kind of flattered, so it'd be just to sign the boys' book and walk on. But yeah, that was quite amusing. So that was a good one, the Arsenal.
Okay, so there's some great memories in there.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit, a couple of stories in there. Who were some of your own sort of inspirations and idols who you would kind of look up to, and who was kind of, what kind of sort of players would you sort of idolise growing up? Yeah.
Well, I was a Burnley fan, always was. My geography was not very good, but because I'm born and bred Hertfordshire, and obviously we're 230 miles from Turf Moor.
Yeah.
But back in the day, as young kids, you have favourite players, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
And Dave Thomas was mine. Played on the outside right for Burnley. Then he went to QPR and Everton and whatever else. Wonderful player. Loved him. Ray Pointer up front. Brian Miller, left side central defender as he'd been now. Great player. Adamson, Jimmy McElroy, all them Burnley boys, great players. But I mean, the football was different then. We even won the World Cup, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's been some time since anything like that. We were sort of close to winning the Euros, weren't we? But other than that, 96 as well. We haven't really been in later stages of too many competitions, have we? Since that.
Well, they were close-ish in Russia. Shouldn't have lost to Croatia, really, should we?
No.
They got tubbed in the final, didn't they? So, if you've got that far, you don't lose to Croatia. With all due respect to Croatia, because they've got some really good footballers. But that'd have been a disappointment. But I mean, my parents are both Irish, so I'm more interested in the Republic.
Okay, I think they're playing tonight, and I believe, yeah.
Yeah, not very well. Because the Jack Charlton thing was the highlight, wasn't it? They'll never get better than that. And that featured highly in last night's programme. Those days for Irish people were fantastic. It changed the country completely. But yeah, I follow England. I like England to do well because it affects the whole the game we play and the television and whatever else. So it's good for England to do well. But I have a bias towards Ireland because of my parentage.
Fair enough. All right. So how would you describe your style as a player? What was your sort of main sort of traits? And yeah.
Try not to get on the wrong side of referees too often. I was there to win the ball in the air, on the ground, tackle and put blocks in and whatever else. I certainly I would be more a Jack Charlton type player than a Guardiola type player.
Mm-hmm.
I was never one for take it short, tippy-tappy football. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
I'm 6'3", and I was about 13 stone when I was playing, so wasn't that nimble on my feet. I'd give it to the other boys, the Coxies, the Martin Gittins, the Tim Jolly, Danny Dance. Let them play with it because they were good at that kind of stuff.
All right, fair enough. That's so that kind of answers that one. So you still follow on with the club as well as we touched on beforehand, and what are some of your memories of that side of it of being a fan? How did that all come about, and was that something that when you stopped playing, you just wanted to kind of still continue on following and supporting the club as well?
Yeah. Well, when Burnley first got in the Premier League, I had a season ticket, and we went up every game, Tuesday nights and whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to a certain age and think, what am I doing? It's 13 hours to go up and watch a game on a Saturday afternoon.
Oh, wow.
Then if you're going up on a Tuesday night, back at 3 a.m., going to get up and go to work at 6 a.m.,
yeah,
not too much. So then, obviously, Stevenage went from strength to strength. Season ticket. It's got to be done. And stand on the East Terrace with 3 or 4 mates.
Mm-hmm.
And when we came over here, the kids went to school locally, and we lived down at Pin Green End. Yeah. And I became very good friends with dear old Mick Baldwin, sadly passed away now. Everybody at Stevenage would remember Mick Baldwin.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
You'd hear him hours before you see him, but he's a great fella. So I used to go with Mick and the boys, and I thought, I quite like this. I quite enjoyed just the banter, a few mates going and watch football,
Mm-hmm.
And just stuck with it. And of course, the club went from strength to strength. I get a season ticket, and I think, I'll renew it next year. It always helps. So I've had a season ticket for about 10 years now, stand on the East Terrace with what's left of that group of lads that we first teamed up with.
And that's excellent as well, that you're all involved still. There's still a fair few of you that will still go down there. And, for some of the current players, obviously they won't know about you, but, even maybe just hearing some of these stories might inspire them to, go on to great things again, yeah.
Yeah, you hear things about, it's strange, when I was playing, you used to hear things and think,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a bit much, but as a supporter, you stand there and you can't sometimes help but be critical of things because it's passion. You get involved with it, and you say things. I always remember one time, and I used to laugh about it with the guys in the side. We played Moor Green in an FA Cup one year, Again, we drew at our place, and we went up there in the midweek, and unfortunately we lost 1-0 because I'd underhit a back pass, and the guy I was marking nipped in and put it in the net, and that was it. And even though I'd had a goal disallowed thereafter, the rest of it pushed the fella was really dead in it, but there you are. We lost 1-0. On the Saturday I played, and I hit another back pass. It did get to the goalkeeper, only just. Somebody in the crowd said, "Well done, Dee, at least you're consistent." So, it's nothing new. People hurling abuse out of the crowds. That would have been, 82, 83. So it's always happened. I just have to laugh it off.
And when you're, I was just going to say that, when you're watching the games now and you kind of watch it, with your fan head on, do you sometimes find yourself going into defending mode as well? If you see a pass back from a defender, or you see
I'm always heading the ball. Stood in the crowd, yeah. I literally did it one time. We stood there, and it was a winter game. I remember I had to take my hat off. The ball was coming in. I could see it. I lined myself up for it.
Yeah.
And as it came in, I actually headed the ball back across. Ronnie Henry, I remember, he looked in the crowd and he's sort of going, "What?" I couldn't help it. It's a reflex. Bang, you have to go ahead.
Yeah.
Old habits don't, they never die, do they?
No, absolutely not. So you still kind of watch on with your playing head a bit as well, yeah?
Yeah, I think most people who played, you can't help it. You get involved, you hit in it. Even on the telly, jumping about.
Yeah. So what else have we got on here now? So we touched on that. So let's have a look here. So what do you make of the job that Alex Revell is doing at the moment? On the back of such a poor start to the season. Last season being a little bit, wasn't really sure what league we were going to be in and everything like that. And it's his first job in charge, and obviously he's got the experience there of Dean Wilkins helping him out. But he's still doing the forefront of it on himself, and he's doing a good job really since the last 4 or 5 months anyway.
Yeah, I think cards on the table. Because of it was such a poor season last season when so many changes.
Yeah.
Decision to go with Alex looked like a bit of a desperate measure. We'd run out of money kind of thing. And the early part of this season, before Christmas, you think he's struggling. He makes 6 changes every week, and we're never going to get a settled side. Obviously, he didn't have the strength of player he wanted. The January window helped enormously, and it absolutely fair credit to the fella. Where we're going now, whether it's the influence of Dean Wilkins or Revs has just strengthened up, or the combination of the two, I'm not sure. But the run they're on at the moment is terrific, absolutely terrific. So, yeah, I'd see him getting an extension to his contract, and let's crack on.
Absolutely, I think the club are going on some really good things. You can see it off the pitch as well. There's plenty of great things happening off the pitch in the community. Whether that, with the sandwich deliveries, the helpline.
That was fantastic. Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic, that COVID response. Fair play to Mr. Wallace and everybody involved. It was absolutely brilliant.
And of course, there's plenty of other things happening. Of course, the stadium now is a complete stadium as well. It's a real, it's a football league stadium now as well, isn't it?
It absolutely is. When I came across, you had the smaller stand over on the west side. And then with a few seats, if you like, the little tiny covered bit on the east side in the centre, and the change rooms and things obviously were behind the goal in porta cabins and whatever else, and what passed as the bar facility at that stage. So to see where the stadium is currently, it's massive, it's brilliant. It's a lovely stadium. The north stand was a bit of a farce, wasn't it?
It was. It took a while to get it all resolved, but the fact it's there now. I'm sure when fans are back in again, it's going to be, that's going to be rocking as well. I'm sure it won't ever get to the same heights as the East stands, but it will certainly be not too far behind.
Yeah, all we can hope is that sometime in the not too distant future, you get another big FA Cup draw at home and fill it.
Yeah.
Fill the whole place, because it'll look wonderful. And, I think the club could do with it again now, just to lift it out of the despair of the last couple of years.
I think that's absolutely right as well. So let's have a look on here now. So we've touched on that. So let's see. So what would you say your motto was as a player, and What was probably the best bit of advice that anyone had passed on to you?
It was when I first came out of junior football. I spent 3 years at Watford as a lad, playing representative games and whatever else, South East Counties games. Never quite made the reserves, but when I came out of youth football into sort of men's senior football,
yeah,
there were some real old school centre halves around at the time, and one of the fellas, I won't mention his name, but he said, "This is what you do, son." He said, "If it moves, kick it." He said, "If it doesn't move, kick it and see it if it will move, and if it does, kick it." So it was sort of based around that. Just don't let them pass. And the other old adage, of course, everybody knows is you can go past me, the ball can go past me, but not together.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And it was quite tough because there were some big old boys about, and I was like 17, 18 in men's football, playing the Metropolitan Spartan League for Hatfield Town at the time. And you used to get lumps kicked out of you big time. So, you kind of had to stand up to it or you just shrivel away. So it was a totally different game. But basically it was centre half and then those was a physical role. Go and win the header, give it him to play, go and win that tackle. If you can't tackle him, obviously you've got a little tap his ankles, bring him down a bit, take one for the team, all those kind of things. No different to what today is, I suppose, but it's just a bit more, I don't know, what should we say, covered, shielded?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
These days, it still happens.
We've had a couple of comments come through from Darren as well. Darren Jones. He says, "Hey Mitch, my brother-in-law still talks about the Leeds game. He scored past John Lukic that night." That's Frank Tyler.
Yeah, Frankie, lovely fella, Frank. In fact, I bumped into his wife Jackie in the Old Town. We were waiting to get a cup of coffee outside the shop in the Old Town the other day. So good to know they're still going. Frankie scored. Martin Gittins actually tried to chip John Lukic from 30 yards. Now, he was about 6'7", Lukic, so it was no good. But Gitz had a go at it, as he would. He was that type of guy. Yeah, loved a really, really good night, that Leeds night. Yeah. And I also remember Darren, knew his dad. Nice people.
And Darren's now stewarding with the club as well.
Bumping him occasionally down there.
He's also mentioned a couple of other bits and pieces as well. Delvin Stevens was living in Stotfold a couple of years ago. He's saying that he had a good chat with him and he was a great centre half and very tough as well.
Yeah, Delvin played for a lot of local clubs, didn't he? Letchworth and Baldock and whatever else. Lovely fella, Delvin, lovely fella.
And he's also saying about Mick Baldwin as well. He's saying lovely words on Big Mick. He's a legend, worked with him for a number of years. Shouted across sight to him on the Friday. He was gone on the Sunday.
I played golf with Mick on a Saturday morning at Whitehill. Me and him shared a buggy. And on the Sunday morning, my wife got a call and answered it in a comical way, as she does, because of all spam calls you get on the landline.
Yeah.
She was at the fire station, and it was, sadly, it was Alan Baldwin, Mickey's eldest boy. Mm-hmm. We were stunned. Absolutely stunned. I couldn't believe it. It was when we came over, as I say, we knew the people at the football club, but with the kids going to the school and becoming friends, me and Mick would always, he'd phone me, I'd phone him, get a kettle on and coming round, cup of tea and whatever else. And one of the guys I go to football with now, Barry Donovan, he's a goalkeeper, so not a proper footballer, but he was friends of Mick and we became friends that way as well. So Mick was such a big thing for us, and I was absolutely devastated when he went. Absolutely devastated. Terrific.
Lots of Stevenage fans, know him and really remember him very fondly. Yeah. Yeah.
We used to go with. There was Mick and Barry Thomas and Barry Donovan. I think Barry Thomas and I worked together for the same company. Barry still works there. I retired 15 months ago. So you got to know them, and that really came about through Mickey Baldwin. But there you are. We move on. But that was really, really sad, yeah.
Absolutely, very, very sad indeed. We'll move on to the next couple of questions now. So on the flip side of that last question as well, what advice would you give to sort of up and coming youngsters that want to get into football?
I don't expect too much of yourself. Don't think you're better than you are. You've got to do it. You've got to do the hard yards. You've got to put the work in.
Yeah.
Everybody looks at the Premier League and thinks they're going to be millionaires. Who's the boy from Manchester United, West Ham? Ravel Morrison, is it?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Talent like you'd never believe, but obviously there's something wrong with his application. Otherwise, he'd have been a world beater. So for young kids coming into the football, you ain't going to be a millionaire overnight. You've got to stick it in. You've got to put the yards in. Like the young boy in goal at Borough, Chelsea player.
Come
out here on loan. Doing okay. Doing really, really well, I think, as a young kid.
And there's a few of them. Arthur Reed as well, centre mid, from Brentford. Yeah.
Arthur Reed, he's coming on stronger. Yeah, it's looking good. Yeah, so you've got to go out alone. You've got to go and put it in low down. You're not going to walk. There aren't many Wayne Rooneys about, are there?
No, not at all. There's a few, but you have to put the hard work and the application in, and kind of and make sure you're on the right. Just on the right path, really, whether that's physically or making sure you're
attitude. It's all about that. If you want to make it, you got to work for it. If you don't work for it, you ain't going to get there.
Absolutely, yeah. And I was just saying, you've got to look after your mentality as well. Make sure you got your mentality in the right place, as well as on the physical side and the nutritional side, etc. On top of that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a much stricter regime. Dietary wise and whatever else than we did. You got to remember we were playing for expenses. And if you weren't playing, you go to work on a Saturday or whatever else. These guys now, I'm not sure what the salary level is at League Two, but I could earn more going to work. So if they're not in the team, that's their job, that's their life. If they're
that's right.
So, you've got to show the manager that you're the man. But I guess it's much harder for these guys now.
Okay, so that's answers that one. So we touched on the community a little bit as well. So let's have a look. So we said about, obviously you're a Burnley fan as well. We haven't got that much more to get through, really. So how's the sort of mental health aspects of the game changed as well in recent years? Of course, there's lots more going around these days about players having to look after their mental health, and lots of players that are coming out and openly admitting that they've gone through difficult times.
Yeah, I think society as a whole, there's so many people that suffer anxiety, depression, whatever else. I don't know where it's come from, but it is endemic. The kids of 17, 18, even that, being at school obviously is going to be part of that. For really young kids that get it, you think, well, what the hell's going on? But I think there's just a greater awareness. There are charities out there that specifically focus on mental health. There's a lot more awareness, and that's a positive, I guess, of the internet and social media and whatever else. So it's no different for footballers, I'm sure, than others. But it's got to be difficult for a footballer coming out of high profile celebrity. Look at me. And then you've retired, nothing. You've got what are you going to?
I was just going to say, going back to what Darren said as well. He come in and he said a really good point actually in regards to these players that their application's not completely there, and you can see they're very talented players, but sometimes they might put on a fantastic show and really, be exceptional on the pitch, and everything might just click for them. But other times their attitude might not be there. And, he's kind of come out with a name from a Sting's perspective. And I completely agree as well with Ben Kennedy.
Well, yeah, as he it was terrific. It started, I think, to believe in the press. And I don't think the chairman helped in that respect when didn't he describe him as potentially the first £1 million sale from the club?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
There's an awful lot of pressure to put on a young kid. And sadly, he didn't quite progress as everybody had hoped he would. He's gone back to Northern Ireland.
Yeah, he's playing in Northern Ireland, yeah.
I can never remember who he's playing for. But, so there's an example. But also in the Premier League and whatever, you get kids come in and they have 2 or 3 fantastic performances, and then think they're there. They've made it. That's it. Live on that now. It isn't like that. isn't like that. Life is not like that. It's a long trawl. I'm 66 now. I was 25, 26 when I signed for Stevenage.
Oh wow! Okay.
It's gone by in a flash. So, it's enjoy it while you can, but to enjoy it, you've got to make it, and to make it, you've got to put the work in.
And that's quite late to be signing for a football club as well, at 25, 26. Well, these days anyway, for sure. It's a lot of these players, they're coming through academies, or sometimes they might sign at 18, 19. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to remember though. Back in them days, there were academies were academic things, not football and whatever else. Mm-hmm. And the structure, the pyramid structure, wasn't there. Clubs were just existing. Were in leagues. They played league games. They odd cup them, this, that, and the other. It was a totally different setup. There's much more structure in it now, from grassroots all the way up. So, yeah, I played my football. I was at Watford for a good few years. I played for Edgware Town. I played with a few local clubs. And you dip in and out of football. Went back to Hatfield Town 2 or 3 times. And then, as I say, got the opportunity to come to Stevenage. So, yeah, jump at that. Why not?
All right. So that's actually going to wrap it up, I think, to be honest, unless there's anything that you really wanted me to cover, or anything that you wanted to mention yourself.
No, I think we've covered it. I'm happy enough that you've asked some salient questions. I'll give you a few answers, and let's hope that the season continues as it's been the last few weeks, and we go onwards and upwards from here.
Absolutely. I'm sure we will as well. I'm sure Alex Ravel and Dean Wilkins will continue on with this form that we're in now, and obviously the players as well. It's a real upturn in form. It's a fantastic club to be involved at as well. Whether that's as a player, whether it's as a fan, or whatever capacity that anyone's involved in Stevenage in, it's a real great community club as well. It's always been that way with the community side of it, and hopefully the football club continues on with that. And then in the not too distant future, there's fans back into the stadium, and we can really kick on as a football club and see where we can take ourselves again. Maybe we can reach the heights of League One, and you never know, we might even be able to push on higher than that.
Well, Burton Albion did it, didn't they? Different catchment area. They haven't got Spurs, Arsenal, Chelsea, West Ham, Watford, Luton, everybody else involved for fan capture and whatever else. But yeah, as long as the club doesn't get ahead of itself and stays steady as you go and build gradually, let's just hope that we get better and better, and the stadiums are back full with people, and we get back to some kind of normality. So.
And we'll get a decent cup run as well, as we were just saying before. And we'll get somebody big down. We'll get Burnley down, and we'll see if we can do a Lincoln.
I've always had an inkling that might actually happen.
Yeah?
yeah. But we'll see. That would be good. I wouldn't know where to sit then.
You wouldn't know where to support. Yeah.
A big fence somewhere. I could sit on that.
But no, thanks for that, Mitch. And hopefully everyone's that's tuned in's enjoyed it as well, and has got a little bit of an insight into the football club from somebody that's played, back in the day for Stevenage in the United Counties divisions, and it's a real great football club, as we were saying, and it's really got a big rise at the moment as well, and let's hope that rise can continue for as long as possible. Yeah,
so it's a small town club, stay that way. We're not a big city club, so you've got to have realistic ambitions, but that doesn't mean it can't be a bit of a journey and something pleasurable to watch. So let's hope that we go on and on.
All right, and I'm sure I'll probably see you down at the Lamex at some point when we're back in the grounds again, and I'll come over and I'll say hello and I'll have a chat with you, mate. So thanks for that.
When I go in next time, I hope to see Peter Shadbolt, because Peter played after me when I'd stopped. I think Frank Cornwall was then the manager. He sadly passed away. Frank, now, he was a bit of a character as well. Yeah. But Shads and I often say it's good to have been part of this, a little small part of what there is now. So yeah, I'm happy that that contribution has probably been recognised here today, really.
All right, cheers for that, Mitch. Thanks a lot.
Okay, Mike, thank you.
Cheers, thank you.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.